So we've made really good progress with the interior and the storage at the back. So we want to look at protection and underbody protection, preparing the vehicle for the sort of trips you want to do. Now, underbody protection was probably one of the first things I put on the Prado initially when I first did the first sort of setup. And I think it's because we always are unsure of what damage we might do, especially for a bit of a newbie, and hearing those sort of crunching noises under the vehicle when you're on those tracks. It's good to know that you've protected all the critical components. So while we're underneath the vehicle, we're going to be having a look at the suspension, tyres as well, because we're going to potentially be doing a lot of highway Ks just to get to the shows, but also to get to areas we want to explore. And when we get there, we'll probably be doing some mud, some rough tracks, and sand and so forth. So we want to choose our components so that we have a really comfortable and capable vehicle. So where do we start? Let's look at the rears, eh? Look at that. Actually a little bit bigger than I expected. It's bigger than what I used to have, that's for sure. They're not that heavy, actually. I suppose the aluminium construction compared to the sort of the metal ones that I'm normally used to. Cool. So those are the rears. So let's have a look at fronts. Here we go. Ooh, look at that. So that there looks like a nice forging on the bottom there. That bush looks good too. There's a spring seat, that's really nice as well. It's not the sort of pressed metal thing that you get with some other shocks. 6 positions with a little clip. Rear springs. I think they'll match well with the rims and that we have. Okay, we'll have to assemble the struts, and I think we'll have to reuse the strut tops.
But disconnect the shocks first. Well, let's just find out. One day you will rule everything the light touches. Oh, you heavy thing. Some people trim cable ties and some people don't. He doesn't trim cable ties. He leaves booby traps. Let me make sure that's in all the way, because I got that wrong before. All right. Ooh, that's nice. She's a girthy one. Okay, washers galore. Washers, washers, washers. This is going to test your diff drops.
Yeah, I want to measure the difference in length. Let's compare.
Is it?
It's not that much longer.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it is. It's definitely longer.
Well, from the top of the strut. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's probably another 10 mil. Bit more droop. You seen the tape measure?
Are you wanting to measure it?
Yeah. I can do this. I can do the. Where is it? See, that's 200. Okay. 400.
It's giving Incy Wincy Spider went down.
No. Look, you can definitely look.
565. Okay, where's the tape measure? 575. See, 10 mil out. That's just my fingernail. Yeah, 580. Come on. I think factory is 565. So these are actually 15 mil longer or something. So a lot more droop. Probably good thing we've got the diff drop in this one actually. Girth difference, is that what you call it? Yeah, it's like 2 thumbs. Definitely, I think it's going to be.
Use your fingers.
3.5 thumbs.
I'd go fingers. I'd go 3
4.
fingers.
That's at least 4.
This is more than. All right, let's get this thing in.
Yeah, it's heaps better.
Who would have thunk it, huh?
19. So we've got the full kit, the steel bull bar, winch, battery, underbody protection. So we have to go all the way up.
This
the
goes
side,
on
yeah.
that way. What a nice bit of gear.
Having this fold go the full way through is better for structural integrity. So we've got some drainage in the middle. This line from the top here, the 3 is like an angle shape, but it was too much room as I could possibly get between sort of that angularness.
That is very cool.
I quite like the way it lines up with the water tank. I'm happy with that.
Too much room you have there. To do stuff. Oh, it's solid, eh? Oh, you could always move your mounting points forward-ish. This could
It is very close to the wheel though.
a little bit more vertical on this to give it more strength and maybe put a bigger gap through here.
To be parallel to where the factory
Yeah.
thing sits there.
Is that better?
That is, yeah, that's way better.
Okay, just get it powder coated. Once it's up there, we can have a look at what we might do, and we'll see what people might think. It looks really good from the back here. It looks like
It looks like the tank and it are one thing.
nice and light. Yeah, I think these look great. The Prado at the moment's got a set of FJ rims. Now the story behind those FJ rims is I found a full set of BF Goodrich Muddies with the FJ rims, and they fit the Prado, so I whacked those on. But at the moment, they've just got highway tires on there, so don't look that great. So what we've done, we've chosen Method wheels for this build. They're 703s, they look fantastic, and they've got some really interesting features. So just having a look at this profile in here, the reason why I'm pointing this out is this is Method's bead grip technology. Now this allows you to run much lower pressures without your bead coming off, and it's sort of the modern day replacement for actual bead locks. Now I run fairly low pressures. I've run down to 8 PSI in the desert, and I can appreciate how this can really help in four-wheel drive situations. It's got a really aggressive hump here to help it hold in place, and these little grooves, you can tell that will help lock that tyre in place. I think the other clever thing that they've done here, and I don't know if it's actually on purpose, but having these ridges means that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to seal against the tyre. So when you're running these lower pressures, you're less likely to lose any air. I think you can agree they look heaps better than the FJ rims that we've got on at the moment. There's a lot of technology and testing that goes into these rims. They're all about making stronger and lighter wheels, and they actually test their wheels to twice the industry standard for fatigue loading and side loading. These have been tested with 37-inch tyres. We're not going to go that big, but you can imagine the sort of loads you're going to get on such big wheels and tyres. To keep these wheels light and strong, Method use A356 material. It's an aluminium. They have a proprietary heat treatment process to allow them to get the best strength and toughness out of that material. Now we know aluminium can be as soft as alfoil or can be as strong and tough as materials that go up in rockets and planes. So Method have spent the time to optimize their material for this wheel, which means they can remove material and keep this rim light. So from a suspension point of view, having less rotating mass, having less actual unsprung load allows your vehicle to perform better. So it's clear they've put a lot of thought into their design. We'll get some wheels over.
That's what the product would like, is a monster truck.
Yes. Yeah, it would do. Next build. Oh man, monster truck. Arctic truck. You seen those Arctic trucks? That'd be cool.
Brotherly love.
Ah. He freaking greased me. Did you know about that? I thought it was a bit moist. The worst one's when you get greased, then you turn around and they get you again. I haven't had big tyres on the Prado in a long time. Man, imagine fitting 35-inch or 37-inch tyres. And these are only 33. When I caught a lot of flack for going such big tyres for a touring rig, but that's okay. For a real touring vehicle, you'd probably just stay stock, wouldn't you?
I'm touring.
True. Yeah, you'd want something like this up in the Creb or Vic High Country or something like that for sure. So the suspension's all in. It's quite different from when I selected the first set of suspension, the Bilsteins, and the biggest difference is just the size. Everything's gotten bigger and bigger, and more volume, more oil means they run cooler. The build quality on the OME ARB shocks are right up there. Now the reason why I chose this style of shock is I'm not particularly thinking that I need the bypass and the extra complexity of having another reservoir, bracketry, more things to go wrong. The fact that they've probably got 3 times the volume of oil in there compared to what I used to have, and they worked quite well, I'd be quite happy with the way they are. Install went really quick. I'm getting much better at installing suspension. Probably about the 5th or 6th time I've put it in, and those other times are because I put them in wrong. So anyway, these ones went in really well, and it's looking quite good, the ride height and the levels, but we'll drive it around, let it settle in, and see where it sits. But at the moment, it's looking really good. So the tyres are on, and the wheels are on. I quite like a clean aesthetic, in alignment with how I sort of approach design. So simple, but also very, complimentary and pleasing. Now, with the tyres, I've gone for a muddy, and this is the newest pattern from Kenda. Now, muddies, I really like muddies because they give you that extra bit of confidence on those really sketchy tracks. And I actually drove this pattern on a customer's car. I was really impressed with how quiet they were, and they're really aggressive, got a really good sidewall on them, the side biters and so forth, and the actual look of it, I like a much squarer looking tyre as well. So I think they look fantastic with the rims. It just makes it look like it wants to get out there. It looks like it's ready to go. Yeah, compared to what it was like just sort of sitting there and feeling all mopey, but now it's like, let's get going.
Kind of love that.
It does. You walk up to it and it's like, it's got its boots on, ready to go. We've got the new suspension and the wheels and tyres on. We still need to swap out the spare, and we're going to have to get a wheel alignment as well. Now, if you're going to lift your vehicle, there's probably a couple of other things you may want to consider to help with the geometry and the ride. So one of the things may be a diff drop. Now, a diff drop will definitely help if you've got long travel suspension, or if you're concerned with the longevity of your CVs, or the angles that your axles might sit at. We've got a diff drop on this one already, and it's probably a good thing because the ARB OME struts are a little bit longer than the Bilstein ones, and they're a fair bit longer than the factory struts, which means we've got a bit more travel, a bit more droop, which will be good for those tracks off-road. So moving on to the back of the vehicle here, things you might want to consider are extended links for the sway bar. This one's already got them. I put them in with my first build. And the other thing with this suspension setup in the back, it has a panhard which holds the alignment of the vehicle. And when we lift up the vehicle, it actually shifts the axle to one side because of the way it pivots. Now, some people will correct that with an extended panhard, but that only just moves the axles back to the middle. It doesn't actually solve the problem of the sort of exaggerated lateral movement that you get because the geometry is not in the right position. So we're going to put a panhard corrector in there. We had a prototype one in there that wasn't powder coated. We've sent that away. We're going to get that installed. And the other thing we're going to do is, we've had a lot of requests to see whether this can be done on the ground. In theory, it might actually be easier to do on the ground than on the hoist, so let's find out. Work light. Where is the button? Magnet as well. There you go, that's pretty good, eh? I moved a fair bit. think it'll be fine. Look at that. Cool. Okay. Might not be that hard at all. Did I put that plate in there? Yes, I did. Man, if I didn't.
This is why we pack the UVP and packing blankets, hey?
So we can lie on them in the ground, eh? Oh, at least you get to use them again. Okay, getting there. What size was that? I'll ratchet strap it. Actually, that was really easy to do. Doesn't need much. I think when it's hanging, because of the full weight of the axle sort of doesn't want to move. Perfect. The brake lines are good. And swap all these ones up. Do that one on the ground. Hey, it is on the ground, so I can just torque it right now.
Yes. I was wondering if you were getting that.
No, I'm so used to it being up. Everything clears. Very nice. Cool.
Thoughts on doing the pan hard on the ground?
It's not that bad at all, really. Especially if your car's lifted, you get a bit of space, and adjusting the axle with the ratchet strap's actually easier. The axle seems to move easier when everything's on the ground, and maybe it's because there's a bit of weight taken up, whereas when it's up on the hoist, everything's hanging, and I don't know, but it wasn't too bad at all. Cool, all done. This light was handy, made it real easy. So just looking at the CV boots after getting the lift in there, and these are long travel struts, much longer than the ones that we took out, well, 5mm. And you can see the CV boots are all bunched up here at full droop, and that's with a 23mm diff drop already. So if you didn't have that, that'd even be worse. So the longevity of your boots won't be that great if you didn't have the diff drop. Now, having the boots sort of rub on themselves like that can cause them to fail prematurely, and you lose all your grease and you wear out your CV. So, or you just have to replace your boots, which is not the most enjoyable job. We're ready to put all the underbody protection back in, and we'll just have a look at why you might want to consider some protection underneath here. So we have the guards off, and you can see that's the sump there. You don't want to put a hole on that. That sits fairly low. We also have the diff casing there. Even though it's very strong, you could hang yourself up on that. And moving back here, you've got the auto tranny, the transmission pan. I've seen some of these pushed up when people roll over rocks, and you can actually damage that quite. You can actually push up a decent dent into that pan. And the other thing we're going to put in is a transfer actuator guard. And the main reason for that is actually to protect this plastic actuator that shifts from high range to low range. Now, same thing, if you're doing rocky crossings and you manage to roll a rock up, you can actually damage this. You'll be stuck in low range or high range, and they're a couple of grand to replace, so not great. And we will also be looking at protecting the shocks, because these ones are sort of upside down with the shafts on the bottom, so we don't want to have any sort of dents on those shafts which might damage our seals. While we're here, the diff, it's got one of our replacement diff drain plugs. The reason for that is that plug is notorious for being stuck, and the little 10mm sort of Allen head in there strips quite easily. We replaced it with a 24mm head. The other thing we've done now by request is do the same thing for the fill plug. It's got the same hex there. We can use our removal tool, and we've got a replacement plug with a 19mm head on it. So I'll put that in there while I've got the protection off, and then we'll get all the guards back on again. 24. So we've got 24 to 10mm. Let's crack this open. Okay, got your fill plug up there. And little tip, you always want to make sure you can open your fill plug before you change your oil, because it can be a bit of trouble if you can't put the oil back in. But that makes it nice and easy. There you go. Make sure we got a clean surface. So make sure you put the gasket back on, and it goes. There you go. Your mechanic will love you for that.
How many versions of UVP do you reckon you've done for the Prado over the years?
So I started with someone else's UVP and I bent that one up pretty quick. So we made our own. That was 3mm and it was one piece. It was from the front to the sump and it was a bit awkward to install. And then I've had 2 versions of the 4mm and then the Strenex. So it's four versions so far. I'm learning a little bit and changing a little bit each time. So sump guard goes on first. Now these were the guards that were on the vehicle already, so we're going to put these back on. Just have everything in loose, get all the bolts in, and then we can adjust the position, make everything line up nicely. Good coverage for your transfer case and this little expensive black box that's up here, and the only sort of guard that actually goes to the chassis rails and not just bolts to the transfer case, which is a little bit silly, I think. So we'll just tighten all this up. This one's done and we'll move on to the shock guards. This was a font that I sort of liked and it was something I sent to you to have a look at doing in terms of a logo. Actually, you went down a fair way path with this logo. You cleaned it up, and then in the end, I said, "Oh, can you do a K like this that looks like the road?"
That's right.
And then I had those sketches on my.
Yeah, you had the K. Worked that into a logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's lived on the actuator guard for the last 10 years.
That's right. there sort of have been issues with people knocking these and breaking them off. So these guards here, we've designed those to go over the top of these guards. And they just slip in like this. And here a click into that hole at the top and we'll bolt the bottom in.
What's the worst thing that you've had happen to a vehicle on a trip?
So on our trip to Cape York, I did have a bit of a scare. We just hit the PDR coming from Cooktown, and all of a sudden the engine oil light came on and we could smell sort of oil coming through, like not quite burning oil, but hot oil coming through into the cabin. So we pulled over and inside the engine bay was just oil everywhere on the rocker cover and so forth. We go, what the hell's going on? And worked it out. I'd plumbed up my catch can the wrong way. So the relief valve was not depressurizing, so oil was coming out. So I'd lost enough oil for the oil light to come on, but I had a litre of oil as a spare and I just topped it up, and that allowed us to limp into, where's the Sex Exchange Hotel? Cohen, that's it. And bought some oil and topped it up and we were fine for the rest of the trip. But after that I took the catch can off. Anyway, that's my boo-boo. So we got the side rear aerial bracket. And that's 4mm, but we've also got the outback mount, which is spaced at another 6mm. So the whole tyre will come out 10mm, which is handy, because this one's a much bigger tyre than the stock one. Reversing camera. So my neighbour actually helped me out with these tyres. He's done all my tyres over the years for the Prado and the FJ. Wayne's Tyre and Mechanical. They do a lot of four-wheel drive stuff and these bigger muddies as well. Tyres on. We've got good clearance actually. So this 4mm and the 6mm has allowed this to clear, and that clears the cable too, so it's good. I think the muddies were the right way to go. As you can see, car is set up to be taken off-road, and inevitably when you go off-road you're going to get stuck and you're going to need to get recovered or help someone else recover. Now, one of the sort of essential or easiest ways to recover yourself is with a traction board, because most of the time you don't have enough grip, and this gives you that extra bit of traction that you need. We've got the extreme boards, which have these hardened aluminium teeth, which obviously offer more grip and will last longer than plastic traction boards. Now, we've got a winch on this vehicle as well, good for self-recovery too. Has its limitations. You need a tree to attach to, or you need some way to anchor that winch. If you need another vehicle to help you get recovered, or you're helping another vehicle, you're going to need some recovery gear and also some appropriate attachment points on your vehicle. Now, this vehicle here, this Prado, has got recovery points on there already. These are our recovery points that attach to multiple planes and multiple points on the chassis to create a much more secure mounting point. They're soft shackle friendly as well, and with soft shackles takes that weight out of that recovery train just in case something lets go. On the back we have a recovery hitch, also soft shackle compatible, less weight to carry and generally safer. Now, to attach to those points we need some recovery gear. Now, we've chosen this beach recovery kit from Maxtrax. It's really light because it's got no metal in it. What we have in here is a really good selection to do a sand recovery, but it also means you can use it in other situations. We've got a static rope which can be used as a bridle. Recommended when you can to attach to both recovery points. Now, to attach those, we've got soft shackles. Got 3 soft shackles. So if you want to use the bridles, you've got one on each one and then one on the other end of the recovery train. We've also got, those are the 3 shackles. We've also got fuse shackles. So this is Maxtrax concept in terms of protecting items in the recovery train. So if for whatever reason you're overloading your system, you won't damage your car, and these will fail much like an electrical circuit and sort of protect the rest of your recovery train and vehicle. This big bag in here is the kinetic rope. Kinetic rope is similarly a snatch strap where it stretches, but much better because this can stretch up to 30%, which lowers the sort of shock loads that go through your vehicle when you're doing a snatch recovery. And then we've got a really nice damper. So this goes over the snatch strap or the kinetic rope. Just in case things let go, this will stop it flying through the air. So really nice kit, really nice bag as well. And being that it's all together, means that you know where all your gear is. We've done a heap of work underneath the vehicle. We've put in new suspension, we've got tyres, wheels, a bunch of underbody protection, front sump transmission, transfer case, even got the shock guards in, and we've got the diff drop as well as the panhard to help correct our suspension geometry. Now, there's still a bunch to do. We've got 12 volt, we've got comms, and we need to finish off some of the prototypes that we've been working on during the build. Now, I've been leaving the 12 volt and putting it off, but there's heaps to do to get all that tidied off, so I better get onto it and get cracking.